This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hi everyone, I know we're all hurting right now. Crypto has taken a beating, and Goldman Sachs says flatlining is the best case for stock-heavy portfolios. Flatlining? Zero returns? Sheesh. In situations like these, we can take a cue from the world's best investors, because a groundbreaking Ernst & Young study last year revealed that 8 in 10 ultra-high net worth individuals invest in alternatives. However, Bank of America's CIO recommends investing in one specific high-performing alternative to rescue your cash. He's talking about fine art. 2/3 of millionaires already hedge against inflation with art, according to UBS, because the last time inflation was this high, art appreciated by an unprecedented 33.2% annually. Now, obviously, most folks don't exactly have tens of millions lying around to start buying Banksys and Basquiat's, but that's where Masterworks comes in. They're helping people keep their cash intact by offering fractional investments in the top 1% of the art world. And with a recession on the horizon, they've seen sign-ups increase by 320%. That, combined with the fact that they speak to every investor to make sure art is right for them. That means there's a wait list, but I'm hooking you guys up with priority access to skip the line, and it's as easy as going to masterworks.com and using promo code CryptoConversation. That's masterworks.com, promo code CryptoConversation, and you can see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.com/CD. Again, that's masterworks.com, and use the promo code CryptoConversation to skip the line. And now, folks, it is on with the show. My guest today is Adam Cata. Adam is the CEO of NFT Tech, which is a new platform that works with global brands, individuals, artists, celebrities, athletes, people with influence, essentially, to help them launch NFTs and make their first foray into the wonderful world of Web3, a whole bunch of other stuff as well. We'll learn about all this in the course of today's show. Welcome back to the Crypto Conversation, Mr. Adam Cata.
This is my first podcast that I've been able to return to, Andy. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, well, hey, well, that's cool. So, yeah, as I say, you were on the show, I think, roughly a year ago, and at the time you were head of partnerships for Decentralized. So I guess to kick us off, why don't you kind of just fill us in on what's been happening in between, and, yeah, I suppose your transition from Decentralized to NFT Tech.
Reflecting on it all, it's been a pretty crazy few years, but yeah, at the time when we spoke last, I was also running a blockchain studio called Run It Wild that I founded. It sort of transitioned from a management consulting firm for the past decade into more focused around intellectual property rights and how that would play into blockchain tech. So I was consulting at Decentralized, and it was a pretty crazy time in my life. There was a lot of long hours. I was still working out of Australia at the time with the pandemic. But, I think one of the, saddest moments of, it was a challenging moment where, obviously with Decentralized, it's played such a close part of my own development and my own evolution in the space. To see that sort of chapter close to, now, being CEO here at NFT Tech alongside Run It Wild being acquired by NFT Tech as part of all of it. As exciting as it was, I also had some challenges where, the reality was hitting me that I wouldn't be part of the foundation any longer in, the purpose that I was there for. But yeah, having a front row seat to any brand or IP, being, intrigued enough to ask a few questions around what the metaverse may mean for them, or NFTs in general, sort of developed my own perspectives on where we're at, and as a community, as an industry, and how those barriers can be broken down, those opportunities and those case studies can be, hindsight's a beautiful thing. so learnings and all the rest of it that's come along with it all. But yeah, I have a deep love for the time that I had spent, even though the craziest of hours that I had to deal with. But yeah, the people that I'd met through Decentraland, the ethos that it stands for, still runs through and through in my day to day.
Yeah, because I remember, Adam, you, from if memory serves, you spent some time at Warner Brothers originally, working on, I guess, like global IP such as Harry Potter, right? And so, in a way, that's kind of the promise and potential of, it's not just you guys at NFT Tech doing this kind of thing, but that's kind of the dream, right? Is being able to develop the infrastructure and pathway for all of these big brands and IP properties, different individuals as well, because people are starting to look for a pathway into Web3, whether you're a brand, a company, or some form of IP, perhaps a game. So tell us then, what is NFT Tech, and what is kind of the vision to lay a pathway to make all this possible?
Yeah, our vision, is around onboarding the next 100 million plus users into Web3, and it will come from fan bases across film, entertainment, sport, etc. A lot of hope is based on the gaming community, and I think there's a lot of education that still needs to go through that process. And I don't think, personally, like that won't be the next step. It will come from these evergreen brands and IP, and what NFTs can add value to those communities with. It's very much more than a JPEG, and it always has been more than that. I think there's a great way to sort of explore the value prop with existing fan bases in general. So so NFT Tech as a core, at a core level, is to help inspire that transition into Web3, and that could be more broadly around the fact that we sort of foster the innovation and maximize the value of the utility and benefits that everyone wants to see in the space, but directly with these brands and evergreen properties in doing so. So we're a publicly listed entity that's supporting the development and adoption of Web3, and part of that includes the award-winning studio that I founded, and alongside that, lots of different other M&A that we're looking to explore and build upon. But yeah, here to inspire great builders, great developers to continue doing great work, specific to helping on board a lot more of the adoption that we expect to see over the next few years, in different unique ways.
And on your website, I think, Adam, it says that you guys at NFT Tech, you've already announced partnerships with the Australian Open, Elvis Presley Enterprises, Sony Sports, and World Table Tennis. And I'm sure, as you've hinted, there's lots more in the pipeline, perhaps, that you're working on. Maybe, I'd love it if you could use some of these names that I've mentioned, or anyone else that you're prepared to talk about, just as a kind of example of, what are the kind of activations or partnerships or collections or whatever it is that these brands are looking at doing in Web3.
The Australian Open project, it was really special for us. It was also a character building exercise, Andy, because we sort of took on that project at the start of November last year, and in 10 weeks developed this through Christmas and New Year's, to be able to, we couldn't move the Grand Slam, basically, as much as we probably needed it to, but it also set a goalpost of what we needed to deliver at that point. It's one of the first projects that really utilizes the blockchain for a purpose. So there was 6,776 unique tennis balls, virtual digital tennis balls that represented 6,776 tiles on the Australian Open tennis court. And we were able to work and integrate with Hawkeye technology to be able to recognize the last legal bounce of every match winning point. So there's over 400 odd matches throughout the tournament across men's, women's, doubles, mixed, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, like for every match winning point, we could recognize the tile on the court that would match up to someone's unique virtual tennis ball and award sort of a accreditation of sorts to those NFTs that dynamically were updated, and people won prizes. You know, if you had a championship winning ball from the finals, you actually received or could claim the physical ball from that match. There's, you know, it's a multi-year deal, and the way that we're scaling it, and the way that it's sort of the value prop and experience, you know, we're hoping to then explore further utility, you know, through baby steps with the Australian Open, who is so open-minded to exploring how creatively we can deliver these things to market. You know, like our vision is to be able to build utility in physical tickets, so ground passes for any holders, or match winning points, for instance, that could reward people in different ways for future tournaments. So yeah, like that was a really special project to deliver to the market, and you know, to then have it recognized as a bronze line, which is the first of its kind. Yeah, I think it sort of made it all worth it in the end, even though the team continue to remind me about their lost in time through what is challenging through Christmas and New Year's. But yeah, we're super passionate about delivering projects to that scale. The bespoke nature of it allows us to do, you know, inspires us and it inspires people around us to see the possibilities of what maybe the future could look like in terms of these type of digital campaigns, projects. So yeah, I see them as more partnerships than anything else, with the different IP that we work with.
One of the other names that I mentioned there was, of course, Elvis Presley, or I guess it's the Elvis Presley estate or digital estate. Did you see the Baz Luhrmann, the Elvis movie? I watched that about a month ago. That was good fun as well, actually. But yeah, what's the deal with this Elvis partnership?
Our process includes a lot of discovery, and you know, before even the ideology phase sort of starts. And it became very apparent when we started this project a year ago that there is a very fragmented but similar like-minded audience across the board for Elvis, where there's lots of different fan groups and fan clubs, but and their purpose, you know, they're very passionate people, but to make decisions or see how things are being delivered to market as part of his legacy has always been, you know, it's a topic of discussion per se, but the decision-making power of, you know, being able to have all these powerful fan clubs, it just falls short in terms of either a connection to the estate or decisions that are made, or even, you know, crowdfunding exercises to buy back memorabilia and bring it from private collections to the public domain. And, you know, like this here is like a really beautiful Web3, romantic Web3 initiative clouded by like a normie perspective of what a DAO could work like. So yeah, we're bringing governance and voting power back to the true fans, and doing that via Web3. It's a really interesting project because it sort of communicates it in a way that doesn't need to reference an NFT, but uses the technology to be able to resolve a lot of the challenges that they see day to day and have seen for many years around that governance, voting, that, you know, they'd like to see. So there's a treasury, it's a wallet that holds a portion of the funds of the project that, you know, holders can vote for how that's being used. There's because we're officially licensed, we're developing lots of different things across different virtual worlds, from games to virtual experiences, and they have a say about how that would be explored and developed. There's different parts of this where, you know, yeah, basically proposals can be sent in, and other parts of it for either the community grants or just decisions on what they'd like to see, and we'll fight the cause with them, but we're giving them a platform to be able to do that. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. It's called the Elvis Legacy Council, and you can search for that online at elvis.legacycouncil.io. I also learned that was a nice reminder. Council is spelled with the CIL, not the SEL, which was a misconception. I remember buying the domain on both sides, not sure, and like exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just, and there's a light paper as well. I don't know if that's for public release or not, but I was just flicking through it before. It's pretty interesting. It's quite a, there's quite a, I guess it's like a roadmap, quite a lot of, as you say, a lot of different plans for this. But I suppose it starts with what you're calling 1,935 founding memberships that are available to, I guess the life for the lifetime of Elvis, whatever you're calling this. Maybe just hit us. Are there some? What's the kind of? How does it? What's the timeline? Is there a timeline when all this starts to take off?
Yeah, it launches at the end of September. So currently we're building like a whole heap of different educational assets for helping onboard Elvis fans into the space. You can join the Discord and be part of the community now. We're building that out. For me though, I think that it might go over a lot of people's heads, but the smart contract that's being developed is fully on chain. So there's projects like art blocks that have the code, the image within the script. So the Solidity code, and this here is that there's no IPFS server that's hosting the image. So in a really beautiful way that like these NFTs, which are fully officially licensed, will live way past our lifetime, and hopefully the community can continue to use them in different ways or represent different purposes throughout its purpose in general. So
And it's you're going to attempt a Guinness World Record for the most metaverse attendees. Is that still the plan?
Alongside many other things, but that will be with Decentralized. We'll be announcing that shortly. We're also just working through a lot of the content that happened for Elvis Week over in Memphis, and editing and building that out so that Elvis fans can have a first experience of what that may look like in a virtual environment, where you can go to the cinema there and watch different things, to then having different panel talks in the convention center, to then obviously celebrating a large contingent of Elvis wearables that you can then, we can set the record for the most amount of Elvises in the one space at the one time. Just brings a smile to my face.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. It strikes me, Adam, though, is this kind of stuff ambitious to try and pull off, like in the context of an NFT market today that is obviously not as hot as it was last year. Obviously, a bit of a crypto winter or a bear market, and I've seen there's a lot of projects that are obviously still building out their communities and building out their roadmap, but the temperature certainly has dropped, and there's the volumes have dropped on all the marketplaces, and some projects that were thinking of launching, I think, have delayed their launches until there's a bit more activity. What are the challenges of pulling off a project such as this Elvis one, or trying to onboard new brands into Web3 and the current environment?
I think the challenge that we all see is that it's no different from 2017 in many different ways. When we reflect to the ICO bull run of sorts, I think there's a lot of projects that get released on the basis that there are a number of crypto natives that are just financially driven individuals, right? And here, where we are today, yet the market isn't great, but the purpose of the technology just put pressure on being able to deliver really great projects into the market, and we're not relying on a crypto native audience. We're building these out to service different communities that will be onboarding into the space itself because of the purpose of the projects that we're delivering to. So it definitely for us is a motivating factor to deliver the quality that we're after, and like these projects are, as you know, multifaceted, well thought out, multi-year deals, and like our intention, we'll be able to look back on this in some time and it will feel like a blink of an eye. But, for us, it's about onboarding new people into the space and setting the right framework and structures to really create these projects that are meaningful to these communities. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a community that's already crypto native to buy in. I know that a lot of people are hurting through this moment, and but for us, it's the value prop needs to be there, and that's why the projects take the time that they do to build out, and how we explore them end to end.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the nice things about these kinds of projects, if it is some kind of existing Web2 brand or piece of IP, and they're willing to take the plunge into doing some kind of Web3 project, and it does bring their fan communities, those who are willing to take the jump alongside, it brings them into Web3, metaverse, crypto, in a new and a much more exciting and fun way, rather than them trying to keep up with what is the difference between Ethereum and some other Ethereum competitor. They don't really need to take too much notice of that. They certainly don't need to worry about trying to trade different altcoins. Instead, they can just come along as a super fan of one particular athlete, sports star, musician, dead musician even, and have quite a fun experience, learn something along the way, but they become part of the wider movement that is the mainstreaming of crypto and Web3, right, Adam?
I was reading on crypto Twitter, like the Twitter, but the crypto side of it. I follow a lot of different people. But it's interesting because over the last 3 or so years, I've seen this movement around the education of people entering the space, either coming from a crypto background or entering because of just a particular interest in digital assets and ownership. And I consistently see those that have entered around digital ownership that's intrigued them is the first reason to have a digital wallet. They've heard about crypto before. It is a large generalization in some respect, but for the pool that I've seen, it's enough to be able to think that this sample audience, they've come into crypto because of NFTs and then have reverse engineered the purpose of why do they need a digital wallet in crypto itself. But that's our purpose. We talk about purpose a lot, but I think for us thinking about delivering great projects that are meaningful for existing audiences that utilize blockchain technology, is where we're going to onboard lots more people into the space for the right reasons.
Yeah, very nicely said. All right. Well, what do you see as what's kind of on the roadmap or in the pipeline for you guys at NFT Tech, and what do you see happening over the next 12, 24, 36 months as the technology starts to improve, mature, market will presumably pick up at some point. But yeah, what are the vibes like?
I'm excited for the virtual worlds to continue to build out. Building in real time can be super daunting but it also can be super rewarding because you're building a community that are there, experiencing everything with you. And we all recognize that it still needs to get to a place that is meaningful. Like the likes of Decentraland or Sandbox, Mona, Spatial, even Meta. I think how a community can connect social, peer-to-peer from a social platform is an extension and an evolution of what we know today, and that will continue to be explored in many different ways. I think helping and seeing these brands that we talk to day in, day out as partners of ours in developing their Web3 strategies, you see. One, I can't help but have my blinkers on at times, obviously being so deep into building and working within the space. But, what we know as loyalty and membership rewards, I'm very confident that will become an obsolete, redundant thought about how we've experienced these things in the past and what NFTs can be able to do and enable in the future for these type of programs in e-commerce as well. But I think that how that all merges and the benefits to people will start to be explored more. But I'm also really enjoying the fact that I'm seeing it all happen in sort of real time. And I'm excited about what that may look like.
Absolutely. Well, let's pull on that thread a little bit then, Adam. So, speculate a little bit. What do you think would be some examples of, what kind of new use cases or opportunities would be unlocked by those kinds of NFTs? What's kind of the next step after those loyalty points and air points and that kind of stuff in an NFT enabled world?
Part of my dad's probably going to kill me about this, but I'm part of a membership program. It's called MCC. It's a Melbourne Cricket Club. I was down at birth, and I was fortunate probably at that point to be. There's like a 27-year waiting list or something like that for it. And, there are a number of my friends that were in a similar position to me, including me, even my sister, that probably isn't interested in going and seeing the football. But, when you wait that long for something and then you've got it, do you really want to let it go? And if you do let it go, what does that mean, to just allowing the next person in? And, that value proposition's there because, if you think about it from an NFT perspective, you can then trade that if you want to. There are plenty of other people. There's 27 years of people waiting for it, to be able to get that access. So I think there's a lot that can be explored on that side of the part, but I'm really big into e-commerce. So I think what NFTs can be able to do, where, you can sign in with your wallet to a website. You've got a particular NFT that can give you discounts or free claims to physical products or experiences that, can give you first early access, priority access over, the everyday consumer rewards that we're expected today in coupons and promo codes and other things. But, this technology, that we're dealing with and, these digital assets can link to all these things. And I think, even walking through a virtual world and be able to buy your, whatever product you'd like in that type of environment with your digital wallet that can instantly have a fiat or crypto on-ramp and then benefit from those exact benefits that I sort of talked about will be something that we'll definitely be seeing over the next 12 to 18 months.
Absolutely, we will be. And I saw quite a funny tweet that you sent, Adam. This, because it's kind of a lot of people will have seen it. Mr. Zuckerberg of Facebook fame, and of course has famously made a pivot towards the future metaverse, renaming the company Meta, but he keeps publishing or posting these slightly ridiculous avatars of a metaverse version of himself, and it's just a little bit cringy in the best possible Facebook cringy way, boomer-esque even though, you know what I'm trying to say. But I think the tweet you use that metaverse avatar of Mr. Zuckerberg, Adam, and you said something like, this is why more companies are turning to NFT tech to discuss their own Web3 strategies, because why would you go to Meta if, you can do something a bit more crypto native, right, Adam?
I think so, but I have a very balanced view on it too, Andy. I think the reality of it is we want Meta to work. I think they've got an amazing opportunity to continue to maybe evolve and rewrite some of their learnings about what the internet has become, especially from a social perspective. And what we're seeing today, we don't want it to fail on the basis that I think that helps in terms of the confidence in terms of consumers and audiences alike. So we all saw that, when I think it was like November last year, when Facebook announced Meta, and any virtual world basically, from a crypto perspective, saw significant gains at the time. Like that's the sort of power we're talking about in terms of adoption that we want to see. The personal perspective of it is, I think that what we see today in Web3, especially within Ethereum and its layer 2 protocols, its community, it's super empowering to a creator economy to know that there's trailing commissions, and also the fact that outside of all of those trailing commissions, the marketplace fees are very low. There's ways to be able to do these things without having to sacrifice too much in terms of margins to empower creatives and creators in general, which a lot of people think of it like, okay, well, that's an artist or a musician or some talent, but it comes down to also developers, engineers, and everyone else in between, I feel, as well. So there's, I stay optimist. I'm optimistic about it in some regard, but I'm also, managing my expectations about what we'll see in terms of Meta moving forward. But let's hope that it doesn't take them a month again to revise another avatar to look like Zuckerberg.
I think that's really well articulated, Adam. It's, we all hope for the best. Of course, the danger being, or the elephant in the room, or the dystopian version is, we don't want something like Meta to kind of take control of whatever that future online world is. There's got to be other decentralized pathways into the metaverse, not have it controlled by one single corporation. Certainly not one with the spotty track record that Facebook/Meta has. The other point on that, of course, is I think it's in the metaverse, people are going to want to express themselves or appear as all kinds of strange exotic creations that we can't even imagine, because everyone will want to be something different. So it's just a bit limiting to expect that you'd want to just appear as a kind of normalized version of your existing self. Have some imagination, Mark. Anyway, let's finish this off, Adam. I wanted to ask you, actually, just to change gear slightly. I know you're probably an Ethereum guy to some extent or another. The merge, popular narrative at the moment, is coming up fast. What's your kind of just a high level take on the merge? How do you see this playing out?
Two things, Andy. I'm not a day trader by any stretch, so just want to flag that.
I don't really mean from
no.
But sure, because I'm not either. Yeah.
But this is one of many phases, I feel, and you're right. Like, I'm an ETH romantic. It's a true love-hate relationship at times, especially when the transaction fees and gas fees were what they were at points. But I do see that this is a great, it's weird to see that over, I remember the discussions around this, just around 2 years ago, about staking your ETH, to 2.0 was a discussion. And, what were the options at that point in time? Should you or should you not? It's taken a lot longer, but the reality of it is it's a huge task and takes amazing, great minds to do that. But this is one of many phases to come. So I think if people are expecting this to be the true solution, then, I think you've got to manage expectations, but I think it's a definite great move forward. Having a front row seat to all these different discussions, especially with Web3 brands, like being the romantic that I am about Ethereum, I'd love to see everyone on Ethereum or a layer 2 protocol, but one of the true challenges was around, the eco side of Ethereum, and even though the Australian Open it's a non-for-profit, and we are able to work with an entity like Carbon Neutral to make the whole project carbon neutral. I think the first phase of this being where it's going with proof of stake is a great step forward, but there are many phases that Vitalik is working on to get it to where it needs to be, and I think we can't expect it to all be resolved within this first step. of the merger, but I definitely think it's an amazing step forward, because those conversations and those challenges, especially around eco, are broken down to a real level that competes with some of the ideology that and the challenges that these brands have into the space. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm equally as nervous, just to make sure that we get there in the mid-September. I think what they're saying, the 14th at this point in time, depending on many blocks. But yeah, it's a long time coming, and I just hope that people are, managing expectations about what this may mean, in terms of speeds and transactions and other parts. It resolves a lot, but there's still a lot to come. And, I think what that also means is layer 2 protocols is super impressive. They're only going to benefit more from this. So, I'm excited to see what we can do and what this, what the conversation changes to be, especially with the brands that we're talking to at the moment.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, thank you, Adam. Close us out just by, telling people where they should go to learn more about NFT tech and, the kind of people that you're interested in working with. And, of course, your own Twitter. Shout that out too. Please take it away.
So feel free to follow at NFT Tech. So it's 2 T's. It's a little weird, but NFT Tech is the Twitter handle, and the studio at Run It Wild on Twitter. I think, at the end of the day, feel free to reach out. I'm available. You can catch me on LinkedIn and, or in the metaverse itself. That's it. I'm never great at that last part, Andy. I need to get better at it, but
That's all right. I'll put links in the show notes, but the website, Adam, the only one that you missed is the website, which is it's nfttech.com. So, hey.
Yeah, totally. Oh, there you go. Well, right. Have a great day, Andy.
You have a great day as well. Thank you, Adam. Always a pleasure. All the best, and bye for now. All right, there you go. That was Adam from NFT Tech, nfttech.com. Always good to talk to another Aussie friend, another Aussie old mate. So interesting stuff. Lots of brands been doing big partnerships and forays into Web3. I meant to ask Adam about, actually his thoughts on, some of the big ones like Adidas and Nike. Didn't get round to it. Never mind. That is today's show, folks. I think we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation and whatever podcast app you are using. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, in the Apple App Store, or iTunes. Anyway, thanks, guys. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New